What's up, everybody? It's the B.O.B., and this is Around the Table with Big Bob and the Maestro, the podcast that we talk about whatever we want. You don't normally say these things, but this is take two of the intro. You're going to see a little bit of a cut here. I don't like to do cuts. I like to do it. If we mess up, we mess up. But the audio was so choppy in that first 10 seconds of the last one, getting restarted. Didn't do part two of the Q&A last week like I said I would. Here we are with it again, and here we go. I do want to give a shout out to everybody again that threw out their questions for me. I do want to apologize with the first set of questions. Jordan Scott gave me tons and tons and tons and tons of questions. I did not answer all of them. I do want to try and keep the video a little bit shorter than last week's because I know that it was a little bit longer than people are used to. If you're listening right now, you probably are past the 99% of how far most of the listeners get into the video. But yeah, I want to go ahead and get started. Jordan Scott asking if you could go back to your first year in media, what advice would you give yourself? Get out of my own way, be annoying, clickbaity, and as uneducated sounding as possible, like the majority of the famous uh, media heads are. Just spout out whatever comes to mind. Don't worry about if it makes any sense or not, because any kind of press is good press, right? Um, Next question Jordan had was, in your opinion, what's the most underreported storyline in sports right now? I'm gonna have to jump to the SWFL because I don't believe that Cam Ward is getting as much attention as you would expect the top pick in the SWFL draft to get. And I think there's a couple things that are very, very simple as to why. First off, in the same draft class, you had Shedeur Sanders drop, who was expected to be a top five pick and potentially the number one pick, drop to the fifth round. Everybody's talking about him and Cleveland's disaster in the quarterback room. Um, a lot of it due to health, uh, but you have that, and then you also have the Vikings coming off of their big season last season that nobody was expecting, with Sam Darnold leading the way. You have J.J. McCarthy coming back. Technically, this is his rookie season in the SWFL, and more people are talking about that than a lot of other things. And I just think that Cam Ward is not getting the love that he probably should with the Tennessee Titans. But maybe that lack of coverage is a good thing, and it's going to keep a little bit of pressure off of. Uh, and the last question here from Jordan Scott: if you had to bet on one young player becoming that dude in 3 years, who are you riding with? I need my boy to stay healthy. I'm going to stick with him forever until he dies, probably. But SimWorld Asia Pacific, Sun Chung-gu. He obviously was putting on all kinds of shows in the preseason and pickup games and all that, but he just could never stay healthy. He had the visa issues getting in his way and all that back when he first started or first joined SimWorld Prep. But I, I'm going to stick with him. Excuse me, everybody. I was too lazy to edit that out too, because it's still going to be in there when you're watching. Um, he just can't stay healthy. But I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that he is that dude in 3 years. I mean, I could have cheated and went with like Jick Lee or something, but I want to go with a guy who showed a ton of promise and just hasn't had the ability to show it yet. The next question here is, are me or Jesus. Will Elava be back on the show soon? And that came from Coach Nick Heesh. Unfortunately, Coach, I don't know if we're ever going to see me and Eric back on a SimWorld TV together anytime soon. Um, Someday, I hope we can join up together again. But in the near future, I don't see it happening. But I still love him though. Still love him though. Hope he's doing great. Uh, Monty Parson, what coaches in SimWorld Prep do you feel have the skill and or resume to become a coach at a Power 5 or a Blue Blood school, uh, mid-level school? Should a job opening be uh, huh? Should a job opening come? I think it's hard to go anywhere but with Coach Drees. He is the winningest active coach in SimWorld Prep. Uh, he didn't make the jump like the rest of his peers. He still wants to stay back in Philly and give back to the community a little bit more. So I assume he's probably just waiting for that Temple job to open. Uh, but I think that schools are going to be calling when they have an opening. Schools are going to be calling without an opening for him. And it is what it is. He's been very, very consistent. Um, Biff Markham, can I give you some insight into Minnesota this season? The Golden Gophers. The Golden Gophers. I don't think they improved their season or their record from last season, but I think Coach Kusa is going to obviously have them playing at a very high level because that's just what he does. Just his ability to game plan is going to keep them playing at a high level, but I think that the loss of Donald Ifedi is just going to be too much. That offensive firepower that he brought, I think it's going to be too much of a loss for them to really improve. Uh, but again, I still think with that game planning that Coach Kusa can bring, it's going to be team ball. It's going to be very team focused in Minnesota this coming season. And I think that, again, I don't think they improve on that win loss column, but they're still going to make a splash. What makes an athlete your favorite any sport? And that comes from Cam Jones. I don't necessarily go for the underdogs. Um, I think that for me, generally someone who is respectful, and I don't know why in my mind I go to MMA for these kinds of things. Someone who's respectful to their opponents, regardless of what their opponent is doing to them, um, but also somebody who doesn't necessarily look like they belong. Um, I go back to one of my favorite UFC fighters of all time, Roy Big Country Nelson. Dude looked like he just walked out of a truck stop. Getting ready to go hop on his big rig and go another 1,500 miles across the country. But he never looked like it. But he had one of the greatest chins in the history of MMA. Took it all. He did not give up. Uh, those kind of guys. I'm not really big on cocky people. I do. I don't necessarily hate when somebody does give it back a little bit, especially to the fans. Always going to love the Randy Moss mooning in Green Bay because the fans were mooning them before the game, and he decided once he scored a touchdown, he was going to pretend to moon them. I think people blew that out of proportion a little bit, but again, I'm not necessarily always excited about the cocky players. So again, really, I'm sorry, guys. It is extremely late right now with me actually recording this. So, it's just those guys that really show respect to the game, respect to their opponents, and things like that. Who is my favorite past or present in SimWorld? I did delete the name off of this one on accident, but I'm 1,000% sure that was Lank. For me, kind of tying it back into what makes an athlete my favorite in any sport, someone who is respectful to their opponents. I got to go with Enzo Wolf. There's tons of names that I could throw out there, but Enzo Wolf, he's such a great teammate. He's always trying to bring everybody together. I think every team needs an Enzo. Um, it is what every team needs an Enzo. Put it on a t-shirt. Coach Robert McHubbardson. If you could do a show with any sports broadcaster, dead or alive, who would it be and why? I'm going to cop out here on this one and go with one of my favorite athletes of all time and say Shaq. He's got such a big personality and isn't afraid to say whatever he feels. I was going to use your question in the term sports broadcaster very, very loosely and go with Chris Farley as any one of his broadcaster type roles that he's had. He's just a hilarious guy. And I think, I mean, go watch Bill Schwarzsky's super fan. See the character that he plays there is great. He's played behind the table broadcast. I just think any of his characters that you could throw into that broadcaster thing, Chris Farley would be mine. But I wanted to give a more real answer with the Shaq one. Just again, I think he would be a great guy to just hang out with too. Thanks, Coach. Damian Jones Jr. Which state has the best SimWorld prep players? Buckle up. Buckle up, everybody. Get ready. Per capita, Delaware. I'm going with Delaware. You go through and look at the talent that Delaware has brought, and there is not really a drop off. And which state has the best SimWorld prep players? And if we're doing it by however I feel like doing it, Delaware. I'm gonna name every Delaware player, and everybody's gonna go, "Yeah, I would love to have him on my team." LeJohn Tompkins III, Losi Thomas, LeJour Freaks, Justin Zhang, Levin Cutler, Leonidas Wright, and the only player to shut down New England Selects, now the Originators, Johnny Baldwin, Tony Christopher Fuller. That's a lineup. That is a lineup. Hey, everybody's going to say Texas, California, Florida. They put out the most talent, so of course they're going to have more great players. But yeah, per capita Delaware. Shoot me. Don't shoot me. We'll get to that at the end of this. Um, thanks, Damien. Emmanuel Blackman. Which SimWorld U player is going to be the biggest culture shifter this season and why? Double dipping. Enzo Wolf, Iowa. He brings culture that I want for a team. Again, always tries to lift up his teammates. He'll do anything for them. He sacrifices for the betterment of his team. So gonna go with Enzo Wolf. Two answers here today on part 2 of this Q&A. That rhymed. Call me Eminem. Call me the fat Eminem. There you go. Thanks, Emmanuel. And I apologize. I did not. I know I didn't. Coach McHubbardston, Lang, Cam Jones, Biff, Monty, Jordan. I apologize. Give me Coach Robert McHubbardston. Nope, sorry, Coach Nick Heesh. Thank you guys for your questions so far. I didn't thank all of you. All right. Actually, yeah, Coach McHubbardston. I'm sorry if I didn't. Oh, thank you. Um, I lost my spot. Coach Kendall Joyner. Out of all the new coaching changes in SimWorld who has the best season relative to the team's previous season? I mean, that's a gimme. It's going to have to be Syracuse. Coach Drayton at Syracuse. He needs to win one game, and he just blows last season out of the water. One game. If he doesn't win one game, he probably shouldn't be there, but you know he's going to win a couple, at least a couple. So I'm gonna take the cheat answer there and go with Coach Drayton at Syracuse. Thanks, Coach. Khalid Cunningham. Who's the one rivalry game that you'd pay double to see in person? None of them, because I ain't paying full price for anything anyways. I'm cheap, but if I were to pay as close as possible to full price, I would go to another Penn State, Ohio State SimWorld U football game at Beaver Stadium in the winter, hopefully with it snowing this time, because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't gone to a ton of sporting events, but the 2016 Penn State Ohio State game that I went to in person, it was crazy. It was crazy. Just Penn State underdogs, not expected to really compete with Ohio State. And that last couple of minutes in that game just kind of exhilarating. Thanks, Khalid, for your question. Who is the most underrated coach in SimWorld U right now, and what makes them dangerous? And I want to apologize real quick because I did not save. It was Kalik again. Kalik. This is Kalik with the next couple of questions. Again, Don't think I could do. Actually, I did get all of them. There was only 4 of them. Sorry, Jordan. I know you had about 13 of them, so I had to cut yours short. So, Khalik, with who's the most underrated coach at SimWorld U right now, and what makes him dangerous? I don't think anybody is giving Florida State coach Leonard Hamilton enough credit heading into the season for what he's been able to put together there. Um, I think this class has kind of flown under the radar, and I don't know how. I know one of the players, for me personally, I think I'm more I'm a bigger fan than most of his. But going by, I know Josiah Cook hurt, not going to play. That's okay. We got Darius McBride, Ty Jones coming in, and one of my favorites, Tycadrian Walker III. That's a future. That 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 is a team that's going to be fighting in Hoopsteria, deep into Hoopsteria for the next couple of years. You add in obviously Garrett Hart, one of the best players in all SimWorld U, returning Ronaldo Del Orbe returning, and a tremendous defender, one of the best defenders in all of SimWorld U, Leon Quinn. I just don't think Coach Hamilton is getting the credit he deserves for what he's putting together there at Florida State for the Seminoles. So uh, I think they have a chance to win their conference this season. So look out for him. I know people are it's probably they're one of the teams that people are talking about, but people aren't necessarily as sold. But I think that's a sneaky good recruiting class. I really do. Another one from Khalik. If you could move one major SimWorld U game to any city or venue in the world, where's it happening? Hammerstein Ballroom. I don't know why. I would just like to see a SimWorld U game there. Hammerstein Ballroom. Go look it up. Go look up some ECW events from there from back in the day. Uh, pretty cool venue. It's not a sports venue really, it's not, but just the aesthetic is pretty awesome, and I would love to see a game there if they were able to put it together. Um, Last one from Khalik. What's the most hostile away environment in all of SimWorld Hoops? It's Thai, Philadelphia, or the AT Aliens. Because you never know when you're going to get shot at either one of those games, man. You just don't. Um, but yeah, you most hostile, most dangerous, whatever you want to call it. Uh, Either Philadelphia or AT Aliens. Just wear your bulletproof vest. Don't pull a Tupac and listen to your buddies. Take it off just once. You might not be around after that. Well, everybody, I appreciate you all as always. Maestro, miss you. Can't wait for us to do some more episodes together in the future. Uh, and yeah, I appreciate you guys as always. And Coach Skinny, I don't hate you. It's all love, baby. It's all love. Always is, always will be. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody for listening. Have a great rest of your week.